One. Welcome to Apex to Oval podcast, where we go over some news and have some banter as well. Just making sure my door is locked. So coming from NASCAR, we only have two race stories from NASCAR this week. We have, I believe, three from F1, three from F1, two for NASCAR, and we're going to go over the race at Bowman Gray, which was amazing. If you didn't watch it, I would recommend watching it. Um, so going over on Friday, January 31st. A new driver cam what is coming to TNT Sports and Max, which if you don't know what Max is, it's HBO Max. It's their like streaming service-ish thing. Um, but a new driver cam will be available for all 38 races for every driver during those races on TNT Sports and Max, which I think is very exciting. You know, coming from like F1, like where I started watching motorsports and F1, like you have so many like driver cams on F1 TV. Just knowing that you'll have another driver cam for Max or TNT Sports is pretty freaking cool to me. Jack, what are your thoughts on that?
I think this is kind of the benefit. Obviously, this is a result of TNT joining as one of the TV partners this year,
Hmm.
right? Like TNT Sports
Yep.
gets their five races. They got the tournament format. Um, like it's the quote unquote in season tournament, but it's just another one of those kind of bonus cash gimmicks. Um,
Yeah.
but this is the benefit when you bring in those outside sources. It's the same with like Prime in football. And I guess we'll see Prime with NASCAR. Um,
Yep. With Kyle
but
Larson.
to justify the money that they're spending on it and to bring you to especially these streaming services, they're putting something in that is different, that sets them apart from the previous broadcaster, right? And so
Yep.
here, we had car cams, but we didn't have a camera of this quality, right?
Yeah. Of course.
Like we had cameras in various parts of the car, whether it was on the bumper, whether it was in kind of the like quote unquote passenger seat. I think there have been a
Hmm.
couple helmet cam type things. Um, but this is the first time that we get, I mean, A, for every driver, and B, this quality of driver cam. Um, so it it almost might be worth getting Max for a month to check it out, because I am
Yeah.
not currently a Max subscriber.
I I believe I am. So at some point, if you watch NASCAR versus me, then I can stream the on Max because I believe that through my family I am a subscriber.
Because listening to the scanner it is a nice way to watch a race, right? And so
Yeah.
this feed it's the scanner audio, and it's the sounds from the car, and it's the driver cam. And like there are definitely races where, I mean, Bowman Gray, I feel like would have been a great one just to hear what they're saying, but especially these short track races where you know, there's a lot of
A
kind
lot
of
of
conflict
crashes.
points. Yeah, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
but like hearing what they're saying on the scanner, right? You're hearing the crew chief,
Hmm.
the spotter, and the driver, plus seeing what the driver's seeing. I feel like would be, especially for some of the short track races like Martinsville lately that have been kind of on the more boring side. Like
Hmm.
this might really be a very different, much better way to watch that kind of race.
I'm very excited for it because I mean I just recently got F1 TV like with like a few race. I think I forget what race it was. I think it might have been Brazil. It was Brazil because the quali got delayed to Monday or to Sunday, and they had quick quali and then the race shortly after. So I kind of I stayed up for the quali, or I woke up early for the quali and then the race. Um, and if you don't have F1 TV, you get driver cams, so you can pick a driver and watch them, and you can hear everything that's being said on that driver comm, and I find that really fun.
And
Um,
I will put it out there that NASCAR scanners are a lot more interesting
oh yeah, there's a lot
than
more cussing,
than the
I'll tell you
driver
that
radio.
much.
Um,
Dude, I'm gonna go on Max every season. I'm gonna have two things. On my phone, I'm gonna be on Max, and I'm gonna be on Kyle Busch's driver cam because I've heard what he has said, and it's really funny just from like the clips that have been taken. So Kyle Busch, I'm gonna be watching you on
I don't
that
know if
driver
he's
cam,
still
sir.
that. I don't know if he's still that spicy on the radio.
You, I need
but
him to be spicy when I'm watching him. When I'm not watching him, maybe not be as spicy, but I need him to be spicy.
but like by nature between the two series, right? NASCAR, you just
Yeah.
have a lot closer racing, and especially
Mm,
on an oval. I mean, that is as much spotter and communication as it is on the driver to see things when you're talking about
yeah.
oval racing. Um,
Hmm.
so there's also just a lot more communication and a lot more, I don't know, antagonizing of the other drivers.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's a fun
It'll
listen.
be fun. Um, On to our next article. So on Friday, January 31st as well, it was announced that NASCAR Legends would race at Laguna Seca on August 13th to August 16th. The drivers will include Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin, Bill Elliott, Ken Schrader, and Bobby Labonte, and they will compete in the IROC race group during the Rolex Monterey Motorsports reunion.
I rock.
Now, I think that's fun because, I didn't get a chance to watch Jeff Gordon race. Obviously I could have if I watched NASCAR when I was, younger, but I didn't start watching until last year. So I never got to see him race. So I'm very excited to see Jeff Gordon race because he's a damn good driver.
But yeah, I rock is fun. It's fun to see that come back.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on that? Yes,
Not
no?
really. I'm excited to see
No?
that
Okay.
that format come back. Um,
All right.
you said Mark Martin's racing in it.
Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon, Bill Elliott, Ken Schrader, and Bobby Labonte with some other people as well that they mentioned.
Mark Martin's just relevant because he was like, I think he was the all-time. Um, he had the most championships. I was looking for the word, but he had the most championships in the kind of previous iteration of it with
Hmm.
5, and then Dale Earnhardt had 4. Um,
Oh, wow.
obviously Dale's not going to be able to challenge for this, but
No. RIP number 3. Um, into F1 now. On Saturday, February 1st. Actually, I'm not going to start with that. That's stupid. That was, yes, 2 days ago. On Thursday, January 30th, it was announced that Louis Vuitton would be sponsoring the Australian Grand Prix as well as inking a $1 billion 10-year deal to become the official partner of Formula One. Now, if in people who watch other sports, in the NFL, there was a $1 billion deal with Amazon Prime, if I'm not mistaken, where it was like a $1 billion deal, 10-year deal, uh, a couple years ago that it started. And so that's basically the equivalent, except instead of hosting one game a year, or sorry, not one game a year, what, 17 games a year? Um, you're becoming the official partner of a sport, which I think is really cool. As a big fan, or well, I'm not really a big fan anymore, but I used to be a very big Louis Vuitton fan. I think this is really fun. Um, F1 is still not, you know, losing the rich, big money allegations that they have upheld for years. Um, and you know, yeah, I don't know what else I was gonna say, but yeah, Jack, what are your thoughts on the Louis Vuitton $1 billion 10-year deal?
I'm not gonna lie, the biggest news of this to me was I had no idea that like Tag Heuer or however you say it
Yeah,
was
Tiger,
in the same
I
like
think.
family of brands. Like
Hmm.
I'm more surprised about the replacing Rolex part. I shouldn't be, but like,
Yeah,
but it just because that I mean Rolex wasn't there for that long in the grand scheme
no,
of things, right? But it just like that feels like a bigger change than Louis Vuitton sponsoring a race. But I guess becoming a partner
yeah.
means that they're also involved in some other parts of the race. Um,
Yes. They're specifically sponsoring the Australian Grand Prix
yeah,
this year. But they are the official sponsor. What's sad and what I find really sad is like sometimes like when drivers are up on the podium and the Rolex crown. The driver will stand under the Rolex crown unintentionally, and a photographer will take a photo of them under the and it's just an iconic image, with the driver with the crown on their head. So I'm sad that's going, but Louis Vuitton's pretty cool.
And
So
I mean, as far as time, I mean, Rolex is probably
the
the
official, yeah,
so.
the number one. Um,
But
yeah,
no, I mean, it's cool to see. I don't know that the sport's still getting that kind of interest and investment. I don't know if it's surprising per se, but it's still, you know,
mm,
it's a good sign.
I think it's good. Um, Now on to Friday, January 31st, it was announced that Rwanda and South Africa are bidding against each other to bring F1 back to Africa in 2027. They're hopeful it in 2027, if not a year or two later. Um, but if it goes through, it will be the first time since 1993 that a race was held in Africa. So I think that's pretty cool. I think expanding to more continents and more places is really cool. Um, Obviously there's really good races in other continents. Um, I personally would not mind having a race in Rwanda or South Africa. I think that'd be a good change of scenery. It would probably have to be during the winter months, but
Well,
um, I mean, you'd hope. During the summer months, it gets pretty hot.
yeah,
So
oh
that
yeah.
that's the only thing. So like I think, maybe during the fall, winter months, I think is where they'd probably put it. But I would be
I
excited to see that come back.
The well was just, and I guess it really would apply more for South Africa, but seasons are flipped in the southern hemisphere, obviously.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
like, if you're at South Africa, I mean, I don't actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know their temperatures by month, so I'm checking that right now. But I figure, since you're on the southern tip of the continent, I assume that like the peak time there would be like July. Like
Oh,
that's the
that
coldest
is
part of the
fair.
year, right?
That is fair. Yeah.
And I don't really know about Rwanda because it's a bit further north to the point where I'm sure that's just warm year round.
Mhm.
But I don't think it's as simple as following the seasons the way they are in the northern hemisphere.
That is
Yeah, it
true.
looks like
That
yeah,
is true.
Rwanda's like right on the equator. So that's going to be basically the
Oh
same
yeah,
year
that's
round, I
gonna
think.
be yeah. But I think it'll be pretty fun to see, racing in
Oh yeah.
Rwanda and South Africa. I think that's the main point. Is like I think it'd be very fun to see that.
That would be really fun. I have my concerns about the Rwandan bid if it's for 2027, only because there
Hmm.
isn't a track right now. And I
Yes.
think we saw some. Now, I'm not saying, like, I don't know enough about Rwanda, but I'm not saying the state of Rwanda is going to do the same thing as, like, some of the Middle Eastern countries did to get those
Tar.
tracks built.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, that
I
comes
was
to
gonna say like
mind,
the
but
I was gonna say the World Cup. That's
yeah,
the
I mean, the
first
world,
thing that
yes.
not Saudi, not Bahrain, no, Qatar. That's the first thing that came to mind when you said that.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm getting at. Where like 2 years feels like it might be pushing it if they're making the bids now, and the track
Yeah,
doesn't exist, where a track does exist in South Africa to kind of start from.
yeah,
But I certainly hope at least at some point they make it to Rwanda.
yeah. And my question is, would they be expanding the calendar? Because they've already expanded it quite a bit since like what 2018, 2019, something like that. They've expanded it quite a bit. It used to be like what 21 races, 20 races, and now it's like 24. So like, will the drivers revolt if you make the calendar bigger, or are you going to just get rid of a race to bring in Rwanda or South Africa?
Now I don't know if it's, and granted this just might be a lack of understanding of F1 like driver dynamics over time, but I feel like as long as you changed the rules around money for the teams,
Hmm.
I feel like expanding the calendar would be good, right?
Yes,
Because
because let's. Oh, sorry. Yeah, yeah.
no,
Continue.
I just money is clearly, as we just saw with a huge new sponsorship deal, money is still pouring in,
Hmm.
and you
Yeah.
have to assume another race worth of exposure and all that only increases the value, right?
Yep.
Um, but my main concern with adding more weeks would be the rules around how many parts you get, how much money you can spend on just like repairs, right?
Yeah.
When you're adding an extra
Yeah.
week of wear and tear when we already see penalties towards the end of the season anyway.
Yeah. I think also like looking back on like, because there's been a couple like videos like on like I think Red Bull had some. There's like some other videos of like F1 drivers reacting to like when NASCAR drivers are like, "Oh yeah, we race 38 times a year," and they're like, "Oh, that's too much." Like, yes, but like how far is it? Like, if they keep adding races, how far is it going to be till they just revolt?
I
That's
think
my question.
I do think the big difference there is a NASCAR race is like 1 or 2 days and you're in the same country, which yes, the US is a huge country, but
Yeah,
like F1, you're going around the globe
worldwide. Yeah,
where like you are on the road doing something nonstop, it feels like, when
yeah.
you're going week to
Yeah,
week.
there's like if you're like back like the three back to back weeks of like racing, I don't think they go home either. Like they go
No.
straight from race to race, right? Because they have, I've seen this on social media on like TikTok because I've seen influencers be posting about it. I think they just have like activities week round in like in the place that they're racing at. Like starting on like Tuesday or whatever, they have like activities with the team through like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday media day, Friday practice, Saturday practice and quali, Sunday. Like
Yeah,
that's a lot.
because they're the race weeks really are much bigger events in F1 than they are in NASCAR. And NASCAR really is like maybe Thursday through Sunday kind of thing, where like you'll have the
Yeah.
trucks Friday, you'll have Xfinity Saturday, you'll have Cup Sunday. Practice and
Yep.
qualifying will slot around on those days as it is. Maybe Thursday you have ARCA, you have some events, right? But like it's
Mm.
not this week long ordeal where you're going halfway across the globe and then you have 6 straight days of obligations.
Yeah. And that I think
But
adding Rwanda and South Africa won't be bad. I just feel like it's, at some point, because I feel like F1 has been expanding the calendar a lot.
there's still
Uh,
a ways to go before you hit like 38 though. I think
yes,
even keeping it
of
under 30,
course,
you've got, obviously
six
you might
left.
shrink the off season some, but
Yeah,
you've still got room for break
yeah,
weeks, and you can shape the calendar so that like, obviously the European races are closer together just geographically.
yeah. Well, I think also like just putting this into perspective, like the way that F1 runs their calendar is kind of terrible. Like they're all like, "Oh, we're trying to improve. We're improving our like, whatever CO2, whatever the heck it is, like or carbon emissions, whatever the hell it is." It's like, yeah, but you could be doing a lot. Like I've thought about how they could make the calendar better, and it's like group all the Americas into one. US, Canada, US, Mexico, then go to South America, then go to Europe, then go to like it's very easy to clump everything together so it's not as bad, but they don't do that every year. Like they're
Oh yeah.
making minor changes. Like they made a minor change to make Canada before Monaco. Like cool, cool, but like also why don't you just make all the Americas races together? Why don't you put all the Asian races together? Why don't you put all the Middle Eastern races with the Asian races? Like it's like what are we doing? Like you can make the calendar a lot more efficient if you just thought about it. They just don't think about it.
Absolutely.
It seems like.
Yeah,
Um,
and a NASCAR, I'm kind of double checking now to make sure, but I do feel like NASCAR tends to do kind of a better job with that, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you can kind of plot their races as you go, and they do loop a little more than you might expect. Um,
Hmm.
where like, this year they're at Daytona, up to Atlanta, over to Coda, which is Austin, Texas,
Mm,
Phoenix, Vegas, and then you go all the way back to like Miami, and then you're in the East Coast for kind of a while, right?
mm,
Or Southeast, not really East Coast because you've got Bristol, Tennessee, you've got Talladega. Um,
yeah,
but like a lot of times when they move, it's for like a trip over time.
yeah,
I mean, there are exceptions. Like when they go to Mexico City, that's kind of out of nowhere. They're going Michigan, Mexico, Pocono, but like generally they do a decent job of keeping it kind of close between races.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I'm going to move on to Saturday, their very first article. An F1 steward, Johnny Herbert, was removed from the F1 stewards panel after the FIA felt like Herbert's media activities, especially those as a pundit for gambling websites, were incompatible with the role of a steward. This actually, I'm going to relate this to a different thing that came out in the MLB yesterday. A very big and very good MLB umpire got removed as an umpire because he shared the same betting account as like his friends or his family or whatever it was, and it was an issue. And it's like I don't know how good Johnny Herbert was as a steward, but I know that the umpire that got fired is he had a perfect game in the a perfect
World
calling game
Series.
in the World Series, which is nuts. But I don't know fully if how instrumental it was. I know he had to do with like the play like the drivers. He had to do with like the drivers. I know that for a fact, but I don't know how instrumental he was to anything else. Um, that was a big article that came out as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
yay,
I
nay.
mean, in this case specifically for F1, I think it's interesting that it was for having a media presence rather
Yeah,
than for doing something beyond that. But I also I don't think they're wrong. I just think that now is an interesting time to draw that line instead of like right when or right before he started those media things, right?
yeah,
Um, but they are right in that you don't see refs like acting refs do media gigs or anything like that
mhm,
in other sports and other series really. At least as far as I know.
yeah.
Um,
I don't believe there is that do any.
and then for Pat Hoberg, that's a shame. It that specifically has really kind of like I've been on the fence about how I feel about how much sports betting has kind of exploded in
Hmm.
legality and then in kind of popularity.
Yeah,
Um, where initially you see a few like NFL players get suspended and it's like, okay, how hard is it just to not do it? But then
yeah,
seeing that he's the best umpire that baseball has was fired for sharing an account in which like just sharing a betting account where there's no evidence that he bet on games that he umpired. Clearly he was the best one in baseball,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
he wasn't throwing games. We're like absolutely you should not have an umpire, and this is baseball, but I guess the same would go for a steward. You should not have a regulatory official with
Hmm.
access to betting markets, but
Hmm.
also it's so prominent now and it's so addictive that
Hmm.
like I is seeing more and more and more people get punished for involvement with it in some way, and
Hmm.
knowing the kind of addictive power it has, like I've started to change my tune away from like, hey, how about we don't do this if you're
Hmm.
like an umpire, to like, hey, maybe it's a problem that this is in every corner of our lives, especially if you're interested in sports. It's like every other ad on TV kind of thing.
Hmm. Yeah, it's gotten pretty bad. I would agree with that. It's gotten seriously like in especially in soccer, like in Europe. Oh my God, like it's just every week. So like Ivan Toney was a big one. Like Tenali was a bit like every single like it's like why? Like
Yeah,
how hard is it? Like first off, in if you're an athlete, the only real rule is don't bet on your sport. That's normally how it works, at least to some degree.
generally yes, there are some exceptions, right? Like
Yes,
Hoberg's was
of
for just
course.
having an account, like sharing, not even having sole possession of, but
Yeah.
sharing an account on anything in the first place, not even like
Yes.
betting on the sport that he was umpiring
Exactly. But like for like players and stuff, it's normally like just don't bet on your sport. And it's
or
like, how
related.
hard is it not to do that? Like it doesn't and my whole thing is like didn't Pete Rose he
He bet.
we're totally going
Well,
off topic. But he was betting as like a
there are
manager, right?
other worse things that he did, but yes, he bet
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
favor of his team, I believe, as a manager.
So like to me, if you're betting in favor of your team, I don't have an issue with it. The league definitely does, but I don't. But like, if it's my issue is if you're betting against your team or betting against you and you're throwing, that's where I have the issue. But if you're like, you know what I mean? Anyway, we are getting too far off topic. Let's get to the NASCAR the clash at Bowman Gray Stadium. Um, this is arguably one of my favorite races I've ever watched. Ever. This was great. 200 laps, 50.1 miles. Um, Great from start to finish. Some crashes. Um, and I think I think the two headliners were Chase Elliott wins his first clash at whatever, Clash of the LA Coliseum, Clash at Bowman Gray,
Yeah,
whatever it
he
is.
won
He's
his
won his
first
first
clash.
one, which
Yeah.
is awesome. The second thing that I find really interesting, Ryan Blaney went from 23rd to second. He gained
He
21 places. That
he
is nuts.
almost got it done. He almost went
He
last to
almost
first.
had it done. I think he used too much of his tires getting the second, but oh
Well,
my God, was it such a
he
good race
was he
towards
was
the
kind
end?
of he was kind of sniffing Chase's bumper for a little bit there, but
Oh, he
I think
was,
he
but
overdid it into a corner
I
and he
think,
couldn't
yeah, he
recover.
went too far. He went too far outside, and
Yeah,
I think it was he was trying to pass Kyle Busch, or he passed Kyle Busch, went too far on the outside, and Kyle Busch kind of roughed him up a
something
little
like
bit.
that. Yeah.
But the two through five, two through six actually. I mean, legendary. You got Ryan Blaney in second, Denny Hamlin in
I
third,
think
Joey
I think
Logano in fourth, Bubba in fifth, and Ross Chastain, Watermelon Man in sixth. That's
what
like five of my favorites just right there. Like, that's amazing. Like, what the
my
heck?
mine too. That's so funny to me because like besides Blaney, the other four are like so widely hated. Whereas
Yeah,
the guy who won, Chase Elliott, is like the most popular driver. That it's just
the
so
poster
funny to
boy.
hear legendary 2 through 6. But yeah, those are also like
Yeah.
some of my favorites. I mean,
Yeah,
besides
my
maybe
favorites are
Denny,
like,
but since he owns 2311, I don't dislike him necessarily.
you're not a Denny fan? Damn.
I don't dislike Denny. I just may not like him as much as
I really
a
like Denny
Blaney, a
Hamlin.
Bubba, a Chastain, a Logano being a Connecticut guy, a Tyler Reddick.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
Kyle Busch. I really like Kyle Busch. I find him so funny.
How I want you to be honest
Which,
with me.
by the way, yeah,
How much of that is like listening to like old radioactive clips, like him on the radio, especially a few years ago, and how much of that is that he drove the M&M's car
I
when
think
you were
like
growing up?
it's like 80% M&Ms and like Skittles car, and then 20 no. You go listen. 20% the voice recordings that I see on TikTok and the edits of him I see on TikTok are
I'm gonna
bangers
have to
always.
send you. You gotta at some point on YouTube. They have it's called Radioactive. It's the segment of like
Yeah.
radio highlights. It's a few minutes for each race. They go back
Okay.
years. Go watch like starting from the early ones and just
Yeah.
like half of those. It's like every week, half of it is just Kyle Busch.
Yes. I'm gonna go watch it when I get done. When I'm done editing this, I'm gonna watch it. But I mean, yeah, I think it was a really good race. There were some crashes. Kyle Busch was in last place for God knows how long and somehow managed to get to what? Where is he?
15.
15. How did he get back to, like, how? Let's be honest, guys. He was down like a lap, like, very early on. How is he in 15th? I don't know.
I mean, a lot of the people that
A
ended up behind
miracle.
him also had incidents of their own.
That is
And,
true.
you get that many cautions, you get opportunities to get your lap back, you get the free pass. I don't remember with Bush specifically, but you get the free pass, you get stuff like that. And he
Oh
was
my
steady
God.
once he kind of figured out what was up with his car
Once the
initially.
car stopped moving weirdly, he did pretty well. But that car was awful the first like half of that race. Now I'm surprised they didn't pull out Kendrick Lamar for the halftime show. That would have been pretty cool. On the football field, he's just Kendrick Lamar playing "Not Like Us." He
Hey,
by the way, he won
did you
five
see
Grammys, dog.
did you see
He
at the
won
Grammys
five
every
Grammys.
single
Yeah.
person there was just getting everyone to sing A minor with them.
Oh my God, dude, Drake must be crying in his little hole right now.
Like that is and again very separate from racing, but that is
Yeah, very separate.
probably the most thoroughly won like beef I've
Song.
ever seen.
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah, and beef. Also,
I
can I just note Kendrick won the same amount of Grammys in one song than Drake has in his entire career. Let's make that clear.
I mean, and
That's crazy.
that's what Kendrick does. That was always the argument too between them before Not Like Us existed, that like Drake kind of dominated like radio play. Kendrick kind of, he would win the awards. He was,
Yeah,
more critically
Kendrick is a
acclaimed.
banger. He makes bangers
And
after
then
bangers.
Kendrick decided to just drop like a radio hit that also called Drake a pedophile that also won awards. So like, I mean,
Yeah, Kendrick's a legend for that one. Kendrick's a legend. Um,
anyway.
okay, so let's get into our biggest gains. Let's get into our biggest gains and biggest losers of the race. Biggest gainers, obviously Ryan Blaney,
Oh yeah.
who gained 21 places. You got Bubba Wallace who gained 9, Ross Chastain who gained 11, Ostrich Cindric who gained 9.
Which
You
that
also have
is
Josh. Yeah,
Austin Cindric gaining 9 when I feel like I didn't notice him all day,
I
really.
didn't at all either, and he was right, like he was behind
I mean, he
Chastain.
finished
I
ahead of
didn't notice
Reddick,
him.
who like
He,
Reddick was a
Reddick
big
was in second, and like he
he
was in
was a
second
big
and
part of
third
the
for a
early part of the
while.
race.
What's funny is I noticed right as he took the outside, once he like started taking the outside versus Elliott, when Elliott got moved past him in a second, he just fell off a cliff. Like he just
Well,
started
yeah, that's what I was
fading,
telling you.
and
That
it's
because
just
you
like,
can't
oh my
run the
God.
outside.
I mean, I definitely could, but I mean, I don't know if these drivers have any like. Come on, let's be honest. I definitely could. Also, I'm sending that shit on the outside every. You know what I'm doing, Jack? You remember what I did in like fucking in Forza, um, where like I would run like I would gun it like pedal to the metal into the car in front of me in the corner, so I would stabilize and he would go sent into the wall. Do you remember that? Yeah, that's what I would do. That's what I would do.
Hey, do you
That's I'm
say
thinking that
eight
course.
wheels turns better than four? But
Exactly. Um, your biggest losers, obviously, Brad Keselowski, who lost 16 places on the night. You had Noah Gragson, who lost 11 places. You had Chris Buescher, who lost 8. He went from second to 10th. And yeah, William Byron, who lost 7. He started 11th and ended in 18th. And then obviously
although
Chase Briscoe, DNF.
Chris
But
Buescher is still finishing top 10, it feels weird to count him among the quote unquote biggest losers.
he's not
Um,
okay. Well, I mean, the biggest losses is
yeah,
like
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
where I'm at.
But it's the
Like
same deal
he
with like
definitely top 10 is still good.
Chase Elliott's not cracking either list because he started on pole and won. But
Yeah. He had a
obviously he earned it.
good race. He had a good race. I was kind of rooting for Denny at one point, then I was rooting for Blaney. I didn't want Chase to win, but I was like, you know what? It's Chase Elliott. It's Chase Elliott.
He
What
was
am I gonna
steady.
do?
I mean, that is a track that is supposed to be chaotic, and he was too good for
Yeah,
there to be anything. Like, you remember we were talking about it
yeah.
during the race, where it's like, hey, we expect it to really pick up with like 20, 30 laps left. And by that point, like, Blaney was trying to chase him down, but it was over.
Oh yeah, yeah. Chase Elliott had an all-time race for one of the best in his career, I'd say, especially on a quarter mile track. Like, what? You're telling me that's not a good race? You're telling me that's not one of his best?
I
Let's be
mean,
honest.
we're talking
Let's be
about a
honest. No, no, be honest.
champion
No, I don't give a damn.
who's had a
I
lot
don't
of
give a
really
damn.
impressive wins, and this is
I don't
like,
care, Jack.
this
Jack,
is
here's
this
here's the
is
thing.
this is the
He didn't
clash.
get hit once. He didn't get hit once. He was close. He was close at one point. There was a crash. I don't think it was bushed, but he was close at one point to like getting absolutely smoked. And he went yeet and just swerved out of it.
Hmm.
But
I think part of that too was that Denny was racing him really clean when Denny was trying to pass him, like when they were
that's
racing
true.
each other for
Then
a
then he
while.
should have smoked them. Then he should have smoked them.
I think there are some other drivers in this race and on the grid in general that would have, right, that would have shoved him out of the way a little more.
Yeah.
Um,
Then he's
but
respectful though.
well, yeah, he seemed pretty committed to
He's very
being
true.
to
Yeah.
passing as respectfully as he could.
Yeah. And that's how he's going to win the championship by being respectful and getting the respect of others, and he's going to win the championship. All right. I was talking to Jack. I was like, what is Denny Hamlin's number? Number 11. Times that by 4. 44. How old's Denny Hamlin? 44. What's Lewis Hamilton's number? 44. Denny Hamlin and Lewis Hamilton are winning the NASCAR Cup Series champion and the F1 World Champion. That's all I'm saying. It makes sense.
And naturally, I was like, I think that's the loosest one of those like number conspiracies I think I've ever heard.
It's
But
fine. It's okay.
I
It
mean,
makes
hey, let's
sense.
see
It's
it,
all
right?
good. It makes sense. Lewis Hamilton 8th, Denny Hamlin 1. That's what I want to see. All right, so there's the race cover. Now we have what I call TikTok time. Now I stole this, respectfully stole from the Deep Three Pod because I see like I listen to the podcast sometimes. I obviously listen to their shorts and they're really fun. So we're gonna normally what we're gonna do is we're just gonna be like we have a list or whatever, and we have to name the people on the list. It's normally how it's gonna go. Or like sometimes I'll pull up fashion and Jack will rate the fashion, stuff like that. Um, so let's get into it. Jack, you've got some for me.
I
What do you
do.
have?
All right, I'm
What
gonna
do you
start
have?
with NASCAR. All right.
Okay.
So the
All right.
2020 season. This is when COVID
Yes.
existed, right?
Yes.
This is when we had races on random days of the week, right?
Okay.
It was a very interesting season. In this season, we had 13 drivers win at least one race. I'm
Okay.
not going to make you name all 13 of them.
Okay. How many do I need to name?
You need to name the 5 that won multiple races. And then you get a bonus point for telling me who the actual champion was that year, although I'm pretty sure that one should be a gimme.
So let me just get this straight. Kyle Larson did not have his racist incident yet, correct?
He
He
did.
is not at
That
Hendrick. Oh,
was
he is at
that was
Hendrick.
during the COVID
Oh, that's when
break.
he was banned. Okay. He was
So
not at Hendrick. Cool.
so he ran a handful of races before COVID. He was dropped and replaced by Matt Kenseth in the 42 for that season. He comes back the
Okay.
next season in the 5 for Hendrick.
Okay, so he committed the racism, but he wasn't in Hendrick yet. Okay, cool.
Correct.
Um, I'm gonna go looking at this list, not the list that Jack has, the list that I have of the drivers at Bowman Gray.
Oh, at
I'm
Bowman
gonna
Gray. Okay, I was like,
at
you
Bowman
looked
Gray.
up the
Yeah, yeah,
grid?
yeah. No. I have the Bowman Gray.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Kyle Busch.
No, Kyle Busch won one race that year.
Wow. Okay. The next one I would go with it. Kevin Harvick was over. Kevin Harvick.
Kevin Harvick is number 1 with 9 wins. He was dominant,
Didn't he
especially
not win the
after the
championship?
COVID break. No, he did not win the
That's
championship.
stupid. That is
You know
dumb.
who won
Kevin
the
Harvick's.
championship this year?
It was Chase Elliott, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, which is
Oh,
a bonus point.
one of the most undeserving championships. Kevin Harvick deserved that all the way. All right, I'm sorry.
Kevin Harvick didn't
I don't
even make the championship
even.
four.
I know that because I looked it up one time and I was like, how the hell did he not make the final? Yeah,
Yeah, he was
it's stupid.
dominant in the regular season.
Um,
But all right, so of the 5, you got Kevin Harvick.
I'm gonna
I'm
go with
gonna give
Chase
you
Elliott.
Chase Elliott since we talked about him.
Yep, I'm gonna go with
He
Chase
had
Elliott.
5 wins. That puts him in 3rd.
Okay. It's not Bubba, not Chastain.
No, very much no.
Uh, uh,
Chastain at this point
that
was racing in Xfinity, I think, for Colleague.
let's go with Denny Hamlin.
Yes, he had 7. So
Okay.
that puts him in 2nd. So now you're looking for 4 and 5.
Oh, 4 and 5.
Denny did
Um,
make the championship 4, but finished in like last, I think, among those 4.
Denny. Um, the remaining two are current players, current drivers.
Yes. Yep. Harvick's the only one
Okay.
that retired.
Okay. Um, I'm gonna. I'm trying to think of like who. Joey Logano.
Yes. Even year Joey
Okay.
Logano won 3 races. That puts him in 5th.
Okay. And there's one more. I'm just gonna go down this list. Not Bubba, not Chastain. Hell, no way in hell it's Cindric. Maybe Tyler Reddick might have. SVG, no. Chris Buescher, no. Ryan Priest, no. Christopher. Um, Screw it. Tyler Reddick.
Nope. He was still with RCR at this point, I believe.
Oh,
The closest he got, if I remember right, this season RCR was Austin Dillon and Tyler Reddick, and they sucked except for Texas, where they were randomly dominant and I think finished like 1-2.
Dang.
But Austin Dillon
So
got the
it's
win there.
basic. So they pulled off the Alpine Brazil. Yeah, I know it's 2-3 Alpine, but like it still stands. They were dominant that day.
It
You
was
can't
it
stop Max in the rain, but still,
out of nowhere. Like they just
yeah.
won. It was
Okay, so
like,
it was like Alpine Brazil because Alpine
yeah,
finished 2-3 in the rain, and no one really had a chance. Okay. Um, screw it, Byron.
no. He won a race that year.
Okay, he
Um,
won a race. Let's go with Bowman, Alex Bowman.
no, he also won a race that year. I believe his win was Auto Club before the COVID break. Which was,
Um,
you know,
I got two outs on my Daniel Suarez.
no,
No,
no, no, no, no.
no, he
I
wasn't.
don't
He
even know
wasn't in
if
this,
I
wasn't he?
don't. I
Was he
I guess
racing?
he was in
No.
Cup, but I think he was racing for like probably Levine Family Racing or something, or I don't even know where.
The
I
last one that
think
I would think of is the last one Brad Keselowski.
yes, when he was driving
Okay,
for Penske before
okay,
moving to being a part owner of RFK. It was Brad
okay.
Keselowski for Penske. Ah, it wasn't Levine Family. It was 2020 for Daniel Suarez was Gaunt Brothers Racing, which was not good. Not a good team.
Who? Who?
Then he started at Trackhouse the next year.
Okay, so it's Brad Keselowski at 5,
At 4. He had
at
4 wins.
4,
Number 4. Logano was 5.
4. Logano was 5. Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Got him.
All right. On to the next one.
All right. For this one, we are going to stay in NASCAR.
Oh
It's
God.
pretty NASCAR heavy.
Okay.
This one is going to be a little bit harder though. But top 10 drivers with the most wins in the 2010s decade.
Oh.
So from
Okay.
2010 to 2019.
Okay. So Kyle Busch,
Yep. Kyle Busch is number 1.
Kevin Kevin Harvick,
Number 2.
Denny Hamlin,
Number 4.
2010s. Um, is Jimmy Johnson still good? Jimmy Johnson?
Of course he's still good.
Okay. Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
Jimmy Johnson was number 3.
I don't know the time. I don't know the timeline that well. Um. Uh. I don't think I highly. I don't know. I feel like Brad Keselowski is on there, but I know he's
Yes,
not.
Brad Keselowski
Oh,
is
he
5.
is. Okay.
So you've got the top 5 already.
Okay.
But yes, to put it into
Um.
perspective, Jimmy Johnson had the most titles in that stretch with 3.
Okay. All right.
In the
So
2010s
he
decade.
was still on his title. Okay.
Yeah.
Um. Joey Logano.
Number 7. Yep. 22
Okay.
wins.
Who else
Now we're
has a lot
getting
of? I
into probably there's definitely one driver that I think you should be able to kind of pull out, but then the other 3 might be a little more challenging.
um. I'm trying to think of. Jeff Gordon didn't race that far into that 2010s, did he?
Jeff Gordon is tied for 11th on the list. Just missed the cut.
Oh, dang. All right, we're gonna go with. For some reason, Tony Stewart is in my head, but I know he's not in there.
Tony
Is he?
Stewart's number tied for 9.
Is that the one that you said I might get? That I
No,
might get?
actually.
No.
I knew that
Oh,
he was one that like you're more likely than the other 2 probably, but there's one that I
yeah.
think is probably more obvious than Tony Stewart.
Is he retired?
Yes, mostly.
Mostly. Um. Ooh, Dale Jr. was long gone.
Dale Jr. is 14th or tied for 13th
Oh, okay.
with 8 wins.
Okay. Is it? It. Um. I'm trying to remember who's retired and
Recently
God, I need to
retired.
brush up. Recently,
Much more
recently
recently
retired?
than Dale Jr.
And
I think we were talking about the championship that he won last week.
no, it's the guy. Is it the guy that's coming back to the Xfinity series? No, it's
No.
not the guy.
No, 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 no,
No,
no. Casey Kane is
who
15th on the list with 7 wins.
who retired recently and won a championship? I don't know. Retired recently? Do you know what their car livery they're most known for?
I think if I told you that, it would be too much of a dead giveaway. But he retired literally like this year.
Oh my God. Dear God, it's Truex. It's
Yes.
Truex Jr. God,
Yes, it is.
that my God, does that oh all right.
All right.
Well,
And then the
that's a
last, we
dud.
got 2 more here. And I'm going to give you some hints
Okay.
for these. All right.
All right. All right.
So for number 9 on the list, tied with Tony Stewart for 12
Yes.
wins,
Yes.
is I want to double check this before um okay, this driver,
Yep.
notably I think in your case, participated in the 2008 Race of Champions and beat Michael Schumacher head to head.
Know who it is. I know it. I've watched the video. I don't know his name though.
The next hint I'm going to give you
I
is
know
just
who it is
Affleck.
though. Ben?
What?
Ben Affleck? No.
Oh, no, 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 no. Affleck like the duck. Or no, goose? A duck?
I don't
The
know.
bird.
Duck Goose, the bird. Um, I do not know. I'm not gonna lie. Um, I am very scared.
All right.
Um, I, I'm like trying to think. I know who it is. I know who the NASCAR guy is. I know who he is. I don't know who his name.
It's hard when you're put on the spot, isn't it?
Yeah, because I don't know much about NASCAR. Uh, um, I'm trying to recall the what are the initials of the guy who beat Michael Schumacher?
CE.
Oh, oh, log the brain. Brain, please work. I see the video in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Carl Edwards. He was the guy
Yes.
who beat Michael Schumacher in
All
Equal
right.
Machinery. What a way to beat Michael Schumacher in Equal Machinery. Who says NASCAR drivers aren't good? Um,
Exactly.
and I don't know who the
All
Affleck.
right.
Like, I'm assuming that's the car livery.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Um, and then the next one is number 8 on the list with 21 wins. Falling just behind Joey Logano, which is moderately relevant to his career.
Oh, is it the guy that wrecked him that one time?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know his name either.
He also,
Oh,
I believe, replaced Logano at Joe Gibbs Racing back in like 2013. Was the direct replacement for Joey Logano.
what are the initials?
MK. He did come up briefly earlier because he also replaced Kyle Larson in the 42, coming out of retirement to do so after Kyle Larson's streaming incident.
Okay.
MK.
Um. Oh God. Is his first name Mark? I'm just gonna go with guys'
Matt.
names. Name Matt. Oh, Kenza.
Yes.
Okay.
Once you started
Matt
guessing
Kenza.
names, I figure I'm just gonna cut to the chase here.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go Matt Kenza. There we go. All right.
Yes.
Well, I suck at this. All right.
All right, it's okay. There's a break coming up here. All right, F1. You had me name the
Yes.
grid a couple years. So I got one for you.
All
You are
right.
going to give me the 2021 F1 grid in its entirety.
All right. So we're gonna go from team. Mercedes is Lewis and Valtteri.
Yep.
Williams is George and Latifi. George
Yes.
Russell and Nicholas
My
Latifi.
goat, Nicholas Latifi.
Um, Ferrari is Charles Leclerc. Is it
And?
not Charles Leclerc?
No, it is.
Sebastian
I don't
Vettel.
know. You paused. So I was.
Sebastian Vettel.
No.
Oh, that's when he moved to Aston. Oh, then it's Carlos Sainz.
Yep.
Okay. Aston Martin is Lance Stroll and Sebastian Vettel.
Yep.
That's four teams.
If you want me to name
Uh,
teams from here on out.
no, hold up. I'm gonna get this. McLaren
Okay.
is Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo.
Yes.
That's five teams. Haas was not Grosjean, so it was Hulkenberg and Magnussen.
Nope.
Oh
0 for
no,
2.
it's Matt. Wait. Oh no, it's Maz. It wasn't Mazepin. Was it Mazepin? Oh God. And then it's not Grosjean. Is it Grosjean? No, it's not.
Nope.
Who was? It's Mazepin on Haas, and
Yeah.
it's not Magnussen.
No.
Oh God. Oh no. Who raced for Haas in 2020 other than Mazepin? And okay, we're gonna come back to that. Um,
Um,
in
I'm gonna give you a hint actually for the Haas driver.
okay.
His dad is pretty damn famous.
Oh fudge, it's Mick.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Mick. It's Mick Schumacher. Oh. All right, well, there's Mick and Nikita,
Yeah.
and so then Alpine. Are they Alpine at this point? No,
Yep. They're Alpine.
they are. So that's Pierre and Ocon.
Nope.
Whoa,
It is Ocon.
wait, it is Ocon. Italian Jesus?
You already
No, it's
named
too
Aston
late.
Martin.
Yeah, well, Alpine.
No, no, no. I'm saying you already named Aston Martin. Who were the two drivers there?
Seb and Lance.
Okay. Who races for Aston Martin now?
Oh, Fernando. Oh God, it's Fernando.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fernando in that shite box of a car.
Your favorite, sort of, minus Lewis.
Yeah. I love Alonso. It's just he had a wife to a kid. He had a wife and two kids at home. I knew he'd hit the brakes. Which, by the way, that's AI. By the way, fun fact for everyone who's watching that. That's like, oh my God, Alonso's so cool. That's AI. He never said that. So now we have Alpine, Haas, Aston, McLaren. Who do I have left? Is Renault?
No, you said Alpine. Alpine is Renault.
Alpine is Renault. Okay.
The three teams you have left are Alfa Romeo and the two Red Bull teams.
Okay. So
Naming.
Red Bull.
Okay, go for
Red
it.
Bull is Max and Checo.
Yes.
Is it Toro? No, it's not Toro Rosso. It's what is it at this point? It's AlphaTauri. Okay, so it's Yuki
Mm-hmm.
and Gasly.
Yes.
Okay, so Gasly didn't leave AlphaTauri at the point. And then the other one is who again?
Alfa Romeo.
Alfa Romeo. That is Kimi Räikkönen and Italian Jesus.
Yep. And then I'm gonna give you a little bonus opportunity. There was another driver for Alfa Romeo for a couple of races this year. Who was it?
Do I know them?
You know the name, I would imagine.
Oh God. Uh, I know the name. Were they replacing Italian Jesus or Kimmy?
Kimmy.
Oh God. I don't think I know this.
They have one career win in F1 with 99 career starts.
And they have a win?
One win back in 2008.
So it's back in 2008.
Yes.
So I mean, it's not Massa because Massa has more wins than that somehow. Who, what team did they race for in 2008?
Um, I believe BMW Sauber at the time.
Huh? Who? I don't know who this is.
He raced for Williams in 2019 after an 8-year hiatus from F1. You had me name him last week because he raced for Williams in 2019. So I figured I'd torment you. It was Robert Kubica.
Oh,
He filled in
see,
for 2 weeks.
oh, it was Kubica. All right. Well, I like Robert Kubica. He deserves another chance. He was an all-time talent before his crash. You know, he led the championship at one point after his crash. He like the first like three races he led the championship, and then BMW decided not to continue the upgrades, and he promptly fell out of championship contention. But he could have won a championship, so he had unlimited potential. All right,
All
what's the
right.
next one?
I have two NASCAR. We're back to NASCAR. We're going
Okay.
to NASCAR championships. Now, everything relevant here happened in the 2010s or the 2020s. Okay?
Okay.
So nothing reaching back too
Are you
far.
gonna have me? Are you gonna have me name the past champions from that year?
So
Mhm.
we were talking about how Stewart Haas Racing folded, and now there's a one car Haas
Yes.
factory team. During their time of existing, Stewart Haas won 2 championships. Which drivers won each of those championships? Bonus points if you give me the year.
I don't know who drove for Stuart Haas, so we are just gonna. It wasn't Jimmy, because Jimmy won three during this time. It wasn't Bush. Well, the Bush is two. It wasn't Bush. It's not Logano. Who else won a championship? Like, it's not Chase Elliott. What? What? It Chase Elliott? No.
No. No. Chase
No.
Elliott's been a Hendrick.
So not Chase Elliott. Not obviously it's not Blaney. Obviously it's not Hamlin.
I think that one of
Bubba
the
hasn't
answers is pretty obvious, and the other one we have talked about recently.
pretty obvious.
Yeah,
Um,
I'd say so.
it's not Brad.
No.
It's not. Are any of the both of them retired? Are they current? One retired, one
They
current.
are both retired.
Oh, Harvick.
Yes. That's the less obvious one.
That's the less obvious one. What the
Yeah.
what?
You're gonna you're
What?
gonna you're gonna understand what I mean once you realize who the other one was.
It's not Tony Stewart.
Yes, it is.
Oh my God!
Yeah, man. I wonder who might have won for Stewart Haas Racing. Oh god.
Alrighty then. All right. Dear God, that
All
was
right, yeah,
so terrible. That was
Stewart won in
not. Yeah. All right.
2011.
All
Harvick
right.
won in
All
2014.
right. That's abysmal. Dude,
All
I
right.
can't wait to edit the clip and just in post be like do. All right.
All right. So, next we've got although both of those championships were actually won when Stuart Haas was a Chevy team,
Yeah.
but Stuart Haas obviously died a Ford team. Now, another team that is currently Ford but used to be another manufacturer is Penske. Now, Penske has 5 championships in their team
Since
history,
2010. Oh God.
all of them coming since 2010.
Well,
I want you to name all 5 championships. I will give you the hint that there are fewer than 5 drivers, but I do
okay.
want you to give me the years that they
Oh,
occurred as well.
dog. What? Oh God.
I
Well,
think these are
let's
going to
just
be possible, except for maybe one.
Kyle Busch.
No. No.
Oh God,
Bush was in
where
Joe
should have.
Gibbs up until very recently.
I don't like it. Um, are any of them current?
All 3 drivers, I'll tell you that there are 3 to split the 5 amongst, are currently
Don't
racing in the
tell
NASCAR Cup
me.
Series.
Oh. Who got one championship? Who has one championship? Can I just pull up my article from like last week and just start? Um, I know Blaney. Does Blaney have a championship?
Yes.
Blaney?
When did Blaney have his championship?
It was 2023.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So that's 1 down.
All right. It's not Logano. Logano. Joey Logano. Yes.
All right. What
How many?
years?
Was it three championships?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dear God. Dude, 2015 came to mind, but that's Kyle Busch's championship year. 2018,
Mm-hmm.
2024,
Mm-hmm.
2021.
Nope.
Uh, uh, 2024, 2018. It's not 2015 because that was when Kyle Busch won his. Was it before or after 2015?
After.
2019,
No. That was Kyle Busch's 2nd.
2016,
No. That was Jimmy Johnson's 7th.
2017.
That was Truex.
Dear God. So we got 15, 16, 17, 18, gone. 19, gone. 2022? No.
Yes.
Oh, God, it was 20. Jesus.
I thought because Logano was 3 of them, I thought this might be too easy. I'm glad that you helped me out here.
No, I'm not very good at, make this very clear. I only started watching last year, guys. I'm not fully into the NASCAR lore yet. I'm watching NASCAR videos to get into the lore.
All right.
Not fully into it yet, though. And who's this
So
last one? This last one, it's not Brad.
it was Brad.
Oh.
This was when Penske was still Dodge. If you want to give me a
Oh.
year.
So it's between 2010 and 2014.
You could definitely say it's between those years.
Let's go with 2011.
No.
2012.
Yes.
All right, second try.
It was exactly between those years.
Darn. I got it wrong.
But we got there.
We got there eventually. Thank God. All right. Well, I'm now showing that I'm not good at my NASCAR trivia.
Hey, look. I had a rough showing last week. It's par for the course.
Which I haven't even posted yet, by the way. I still need to edit that. I haven't bothered editing
All right.
it yet because I want
Bonus point opportunity. What manufacturer was Richard Petty famous for racing? At least like early on, I'll say. Because later on it was Dodge.
Is it a current NASCAR one?
No. Well, later on it was Dodge, and then I guess like yeah, but early in his
Okay,
career,
so
for
let's be honest.
his
Let's
first
be honest.
three championships, what
Let's be honest.
manufacturer did Petty drive?
Are they American?
Yes.
What are the current NASCAR? It's Ford,
Ford, Chevy, Toyota.
Chevy, Toyota.
I'm going to tell you that this specific brand died in 2001.
Like they're no longer a company.
Correct. Well, they were a brand from a company that still exists, but the brand itself is dead.
Brand exists. So the car company still exists? Is it a car company?
Well, no, so you know how car companies work, like right? Like as an example with Ford, you have Ford that makes Ford, Lincoln, and you used to have Mercury kind of slotted in the middle there, right?
Yeah.
You know, that kind of structure.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a former American brand that like the overarching company still exists, but the brand itself is dead.
Uh, and it's not Dodge.
It's not
It
Dodge.
What's the Viper thing? It's not that,
Nope.
because that's Dodge.
You're on the right track though.
It's not. It died in 2001.
Yes.
What car brand company thing died in 2001?
This one.
I mean, Dale Earnhardt hit the wall, which is devastating to all. But
Why
what?
did that rhyme?
It was very devastating, and I wish he could have lived. Um, 9/11 also happened. That was also really sad. What car company ended in 2001?
Yes, you are
I
right. There
don't.
are some things that may have overshadowed it.
I Yeah. Like I don't really. I don't. Can I give up? I don't know.
Yes, you can. It was Plymouth, which was a close relative to Dodge
Oh.
and eventually
Oh.
became Dodge. Now, other brands, American brands, that raced in NASCAR and won championships include Oldsmobile, which died in 2004. That was a GM brand. And Pontiac, another GM brand that died in 2010 with the whole GM going bankrupt thing.
Of course. Fantastic. Good job, GM. Good job. Is there one more, or is that
That's all I had prepared. Now, if
okay?
you want, I have one more brand, American brand, that was founded in 1909 and went defunct in 1954,
I'm
but
sorry. What the?
did win NASCAR championships plural.
Sorry. The 1950. All right.
And you
Let's.
are very familiar with this brand, I would say.
I'm Saab.
No, it's American. They had one specific model of race car that was later that won championships, dominated NASCAR in the 50s, enough so to be incorporated into pop culture in a very different way in 2006. Not very different way, but just to be kind of newly incorporated into pop culture in 2006.
Is that when Cars came out?
Yes.
Oh my! Is it the Doc Hudson?
It's Hudson with the Hudson Hornet.
Yeah. So they're gone now. That sucks.
Oh,
I
they've
want a
been
Hudson
gone. They
Hornet.
died in the
I
50s.
I want a Hudson
They
Hornet.
merged to form AMC, which itself was like a big part
I
of like kind of the that kind of muscle car era, but I think AMC ended up being a
uh,
casualty of like the after effects from like the fuel crisis.
yeah. Well, we love Doc Hudson. What is the wreck of? Remember Doc Hudson was like the wreck of whatever. That did that like happen
I
or what is that? Is that referencing anything?
Doc Hudson's
Did it?
wreck?
Yeah, is that referencing anything?
Um I don't think so, but um I think that was mostly for plot. Um
It says yes, Doc Hudson's any crash in the Disney movie is based on a real life crash. But that's AI, so who really knows?
Maybe it
Um,
did. I know that there were multiple drivers that drove Hudson's.
there were one of them was I forget it, I literally just saw his name, but um, let's see. Um,
Oh. Yeah, I mean he did have a crash that cost him a few months. Herb Thomas.
yeah.
Um
Okay, so the quote unquote story of the crash history because it's like in the 50s the Hudson Hornet had 86% win rate, but then was left behind because it had an outdated flathead engine later on. That part is true.
Yeah, I
You know
guess
what?
because it's a
Yeah,
blend of the car and the driver. So I was gonna say like the story doesn't really parallel a driver, but I guess the car being left behind afterwards kind of makes sense.
yeah.
But obviously that's a movie that yes, they featured a lot, like a shocking amount of NASCAR personalities, whether they were actual drivers involved, whether they were the real
Like
NASCAR announcers. Yeah, Daryl Cartrip in the booth.
Daryl Carship in the booth. Yes.
Um, but obviously there were some things that were blended to make the story better, like Petty and Earnhardt were combined into one character, right, with the King.
Yeah.
Um, obviously that crash towards the end was very much a mimic of Earnhardt's accident, with the twist that he survives and gets pushed to the finish and all of that. Um, but you have a character there that is very explicitly designed after Petty's car, right? That is like
Yep.
a carbon copy of the car that Petty drove, number,
Yep.
color, all of that, the King, all of that. But then you have the Earnhardt incident wrapped into his story. Like you get them
Hmm.
taking some creative liberties, I guess, with the NASCAR history there.
Yeah. And then Lightning McQueen as Jimmy Johnson. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean,
It was predicting Jimmy Johnson.
in a way,
In a way, it
in
was
a way,
predicting Jimmy Johnson. Yeah.
does that
All
make
right.
Joey Logano the Jackson guy? I'm trying to think because I was trying to think. It's not really a good parallel, but
Would
I
you say
think that
Larson?
well, Larson only has the one championship.
It's true.
I was trying to think that like Jimmy's last championship was 2016, and then Jimmy fell off a cliff right around like Logano won his first in 2018, and then won two more in the last 3 years here. Obviously, Jimmy retired a few years ago now, but um,
Is it? Well, yeah. I mean, well, Jackson only won two.
did he?
Cruz has won three.
Who? Oh,
Cruz
oh,
Ramirez,
they
the
extended.
chick.
I didn't realize that
Yeah,
they
yeah,
extended the season.
Yeah. So they have it up to 2024. I don't know how they're getting these. Not gonna lie. They might just be making it up.
I'm
I'm
sure
not
there are
gonna
also
lie.
shorts and stuff that have come out. I'm not as up to date on my Cars lore as I
Possibly,
should
yeah.
be.
But yeah,
But yeah,
strip
Jimmy had his last in
weathers and
2016. You could argue like Kyle Busch has two since then. You
yeah.
could argue
Well,
like
okay,
Chase
hold
Elliott
on.
as being a
Well, wait
huge
a minute.
what?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. They have strip weathers. They also have Dale.
They do have Dale?
Yeah, he has four though.
Okay.
Which, huh? Doc Hudson has three. Spider Dangerford has four. Daryl Coltrip has three. Clint Shifright has three. Cruz Ramirez has three. Jack Ford has two. Morris Axler has two. Lee Cunningham has two. Um,
What about Bubba
Jackson has
Wheelhouse?
two.
Is
Yeah,
he
I
on
don't
there?
but we house don't have shit.
Hold on. Hold on.
Actually, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has one in 2003, as he should. Um,
Where's my Bubba Wheelhouse card?
they have, oh my God, Ryan Laney in 2023.
Yep. So does that mean that Cruz is Joey Logano? Who won in
Oh
2024?
my God. Well, 2024 was Paul Conrad,
Ah. Who was 22?
Tim Treadless.
Oh, never mind.
The Cruz Ramirez won in 2021, 2018, and 2017.
Hmm.
I would say
Truex,
Cruz is Joey
Logano,
Logano.
Larson. Okay.
I would say that Cruz Ramirez is Joey Logano, and Jackson Storm is Kyle Busch.
Actually, Kyle Busch kind of makes sense, even though Kyle Busch has been racing for a long time. Just
It's
attitude-wise, that
2016.
makes sense.
Yeah, 2016 and 2019
And I
were
mean, even
Jackson
Logano
Storms.
would not be a good comp because Logano came in young. He was sliced bread and kind of flamed out with Joe Gibbs, and was almost a
Yeah,
bust for a while, and then
yeah,
really came on with Penske, but kind of late on.
yeah. I mean, if you look at like the Lightning McQueen, like 2006, 2007, 2009, 10, 11, and 12,
Yeah,
like
2008. What was the guy's name that stole it from him?
Winford, Bradford, Rutherford.
Nope.
Crazy work. He split up the 6P or the 7P.
Well, of course, that in that time frame, Jimmy Johnson in real life had a 5P going. That started
That
in
is true.
'06. '06,
That is
'07, '08,
true.
'09, and 2010.
But yeah, Lightning McQueen got a four in a row, so he equaled four in a row, but he could not get the five in a row. That's crazy. But yeah, they had Dale Earnhardt winning in 1991, 1994, and let me see, where is it? Um, yeah, 91, 94. Is he in one more? He should be. I don't know. He's not. I don't know. I don't know where his third one is. Oh yeah, to 1987, 1991, 1994. And then there's one more. Where's his? Oh, in 1980. Those are his. We're getting so off topic. We're just
Oh
talking
yeah.
about cars. You know what? Screw it. When when there's not good news, we're just gonna go a deep dive into cars. We're just gonna talk about cars for an entire podcast. Screw it. Let's do it.
I'm gonna bring out the
Are you
conspiracy
down?
theories. Oh yeah.
Please do.
Oh, cause
I'll bring out
you
some.
know they found a way. Like someone found a way to nerf Guido, man.
Oh, 100%. If we don't listen to the next one, also Michael Schumacher is canon.
Of
Literally
course.
canon. He was in the first movie, which is nuts.
Yeah,
It's
of
so
course.
funny. And he was in the
I mean,
second one too
once
when the
you kind of
terrorism
once you
happened.
kind of get more like absorb more of the history of NASCAR, I think you should
Yeah.
watch it again and notice just how many actual NASCAR people are in that first movie.
Mario Andretti is canon in Cars.
Yeah.
Yes. That's what I'm talking about. My American goat.
Obviously, in English, Lewis Hamilton was the voice assistant in Cars 3.
Yup. Yup.
And then you had different F1 drivers at the time for different languages.
Yep. Seb, Alonso.
But anyway, this is not
Yeah.
the Cars Deep
This is
Dive
not this
episode.
is not the Cars Deep
I
Dive
will
episode.
stop
We
myself
will do
from
this.
talking
We will
about
do
the
this at
best
some. We're
movie
gonna do this at
series of
some
all
point.
time.
Look out for a Cars Deep Dive as an entire podcast episode. I swear to God, we will. We might make it multiple podcast episodes if there's enough lore. So, yeah, this is Alex from Apex Apex to Oval. That's Jack.
This is actually today. My name is Different Jack.
Different Jack. Oh, sorry. This
Yeah.
is Different Jack. I'm Alex. Thank you guys for watching and have an amazing day.